Good morning, everyone. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Good morning or good day, depending on where you're from. Welcome back to another live stream. How's everybody doing today? How's everybody's day going so far? Welcome back to another live stream. Very excited to get back on here with you all. Another day, another opportunity to gain more conviction in our business. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Just going to take some time to say good morning and welcome everybody into the stream, and then we'll start to get into some of the information. Hey, good morning, Trader 007. Good morning, Brutal Trader. Good morning, Amobo. Good morning, Droxy. Good morning, Mock. Good morning, Dude, Where's My Stop Loss? Good morning, Amina. Good morning, Adam. Good morning, Umar. Good morning, Reinhardt. Good morning, Petro. Good morning, Daniel. Good morning, Connor. Good morning, Mika. Good morning, Jed. Good morning, Abhishek. I hope everybody's day is going well. I hope everybody's week is going well. Good morning, UM Trades. How's everybody doing so far this week? Let's see how everybody's starting off the week. Throw a 1 in chat if you're green on the week. Throw a 2 in chat if you're red on the week. And throw a 3 in chat if you've yet to trade this week. Good morning, Shalav. Good morning, Steven. Unicorn model is different. How many RR should I use? I think you need to backtest. If you don't have enough data proving which RR you should use, then it sounds like you haven't spent enough time with the model. Put the work in, put the time in, put the backtesting in, and then you should have that answer, right? Just because someone is good at something, that does not mean you're going to be good at that. So, for example, if somebody's good at doing a 1-to-1 risk to reward, that's what you should move forward with, right? If somebody else is good at doing a 1-to-2 risk to reward, then that's what they should move forward with. Everybody's unique to their own abilities. So do backtesting. Get a bunch of data. Do over a year's worth of data to prove your abilities. That's what I would say about that. Good morning, Adriano. Good morning, AV Dream. Good morning, Alexander. Good morning, Rod. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Very excited to get back on here with you all. Another day, another opportunity. Just going to give some people some time to join before we get into the information. Good morning, Spartan. Hope your day is going well. And how are we feeling today? What are we thinking for New York Open? Are you all bullish or bearish? Type bull in the chat if you're bullish for the day, and type bearish in the chat if you're bearish for the day. Curious to see what you guys are looking for. Good morning, Grateful. Good morning, SMC Futures. Good morning, Joshua. Okay, seems pretty 50-50 so far. Couple bulls, couple bears. Good morning, R. Ferna. Hope your day is going well. June 30 trades. How are you doing today? Good morning, good morning, good morning. Or good day, depending on where you're from. Just giving people time to join before we start to get into some of the information here. Make sure the communities know that I'm live. Make sure I get an announcement going. Good morning, Cash. Hope your day is going well. Good morning, Trader007. Hope your day is going well. All righty. Okay, we are all set up here. All right. We will slowly get into the information here as people are joining the live stream. Ash, I have a question regarding IB. For example, if the IB low forms first, then inside 9:30 to 10:30, we sweep the low again. We still look for buys, or we change our bias to sell. You're confusing yourself here. Right? You're making it more complicated than it needs to be. Either the low forms first or the high forms first. That's all you need to know. Right? So let's just go over a couple. All right. Here, pick a session. You want to do New York session? You want to do Globex? You want to what session you want to do? We'll do a couple IBs so that you can understand. Instead of me just talking about it, I will point to it on the screen so that we can see it as well. Good morning, Divism. How are you doing today? Good morning, good morning, good morning. Hope everybody's day is going well. Hope everybody's week is going well. We do have Mr. ZINC coming on today as well. So we will get to talk more about the initial balance when he gets here. We can go over some examples now as well. Hey, Ash, hope you're well. I'm doing well. Thanks for asking. How are you doing today? And good morning. All right, let's just go through some Globex IBs since I'm not getting an answer. Let's just go back and do a handful of Globex real quick. All right, so Globex IB is from 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time to 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So you can see this candle right here. This is 6 p.m. Okay, and now we're heading into 7 p.m. All right, so there's 7 p.m. You measure the low to the high of the range of the IB, right? And you can see that this is a long because the low was formed first, the high was formed second. That means we would be longing from 50% of the range, targeting the high as the target. And look at that bounce. I mean, that is astonishing. That's astonishing. It bounces right from 50% of the range, almost to the tick. That is incredible. All right, so very simple. Either the low is formed first or the high is formed first. That's the only criteria you need, right? It's probably one of the most simplest strategies that I've come across, and that's the point to it, okay? That's the point to it. Keep it simple. Ash, I was told Globex starts at 8 p.m. No, that is incorrect. Globex is 6 p.m. to 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. 6 p.m. to 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Okay. Let me just pull it up. You can check in the Discord as well. Here, let me pull this up real quick. All right, take a look at the public Discord. Go to the general chat and take a look at this. Right? IB times. Globex, 6 p.m. to 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Asia session, 7 p.m. to 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. London session, 3 a.m. to 4 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. New York session, 9:30 a.m. to 10:30 a.m. All right, those are the IB times by session. Okay? How long is it valid for? Until you get a result, right? So, for example, we'll do some more, but let's just talk about this one real quick, right? So if you didn't capture this long entry right here, right? If you didn't capture that long entry right there, it has now finished right here. Okay, so once it has finished, I would not use it anymore, right? Because the probability that you're betting on here is that the initial balance gets taken out, right? Entries at 50%, stop losses at range low, take profit is at range high. So when the objective to the position is completed, that is when it is done, right? So if you did not capture this long right here, after it went and completed the objective here, it is no longer valid, right? We don't use it anymore. It completed its job. Okay? So it is valid until it has completed its job. So let's go get another Globex. All right, Wednesday. Wednesday, 1800. All right, so 6 p.m. Not this one. 6 p.m. right here to 7 p.m. So let's get to 7 p.m. Couple more candles. One more. Okay, once again, Globex IB from high to low of the range. This one would be a short, right? Because the high was set first, the low was set second, right? The range from 6 p.m. to 7 p.m. shows that the high was set first. Okay, so we would need to enter from here. Stop loss goes here. Take profit goes here. Let's see what happens. There you go. Another great example of when it's no longer valid. Okay, this time you did not get an entry at 50%. Instead, price decided to go directly to the target. Since the objective is completed, this is no longer valid. You understand what I'm saying? It's very important to understand when there is an entry and when there is not an entry. And you know that by whether it's completed the objective or not. So this one did not give an entry. This one went right to target. Let's get a couple more examples in, and then we'll get back to today's information. Just helping out one of the members with some IB questions. So let's get another Globex in. All right, here we go. 8 p.m. Excuse me. 6 p.m. Let's get 6 p.m. to 7 p.m. All right. Yeah, the high was set first. The low was set second. That means we would look for shorts. And let's see what would happen. All right, so 6 p.m. to 7 p.m., the high was set first. The low was set second. That means this would be a short. We'd be looking to short from 50% of the range. Stop loss, range high. Take profit, range low. Let's see what happens. Okay, that would be an entry for the short. And that would be a stop loss for the short. Amazing. Absolutely amazing. You just got an example of a winning trade. You just got an example of a trade that did not provide an entry because it completed the objective. then you also got an example of a stop loss. You just got all three results. So now you should be able to recognize all three results. What a loser looks like, what a no trade looks like, and what a winning trade looks like. Very good. Very good. Just give me a second. I'm going to try to fix the camera. Let's go a little bit higher there. Chat. Give me a second here. All right, that one might be it right there. All right, I think that one's it. Nice. Okay, a couple examples of IB, but we do have Mr. ZINC coming up at 9 a.m., so we definitely have time to ask him questions as well. What about IB when it comes on the 15-minute range, then I execute on lower time frame with a change in the state of delivery? Once again, simplicity brings clarity. So the more things that you're going to try to add to this takes away from the entire idea. The idea is simplicity. So no, thank you. I'm not looking to make it complicated. I don't want to confuse myself. I don't want to add anything to it, so I'm not going to. Be my guest, do whatever you'd like, but that's just my 2 cents on it, right? The reason for using this is the simplicity, right? The moment you start asking yourself more questions, that's when you're going to get confused because you have to make decisions in real time. So what is your bias for today? We're going to go over that now. We're going to go ahead and update all of the discords, make sure that we go over all of our assets. So let's start with euro, and then we'll get to the dollar, oil, ES, and NQ. All right, let's take a look. Now we're going to get our biases in. All right, so pretty decent move lower here on euro. I'm not looking to go against that momentum. Right, none of those look like reversal candles. It looks like potential continuation. So this is what I would be looking at for euro. I would be looking at this minus FEG right here, so this bearish FEG, and I'd be looking to see if that provides a rejection for lower prices. So let me get the arrow on here so everybody can understand. All right, so I'd be looking for something like this. So, excuse me. Just be patient with me. I'm going to grab some screenshots of all of these biases so that I can update the discords as well. All right, so bearish on euro. Bearish on euro. Okay, bearish on euro. Which that means we're going to end up being bullish on the dollar. For anybody that was here during last week's live stream, okay, you can see last week's bias. You can see why it was wrong, right? We were looking for a move. We were looking for a move from the swing high lower down to the bullish FEG there. It tried to move lower, but it got bought up. So that bearish bias there on the dollar was wrong. That was from last week. And for today, now I'd be looking to join that momentum, right? The same thing there on euro. Taking a look at the bullish FEG, seeing if that provides any continuation. So just like that. would be looking to see if there's any continuation there. Get a screenshot of that. Okay. All right. Okay. Chat, do me a favor. If you're getting any value from the live streams, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. We're going to continue to keep doing this every single week. You know, you guys know what comes with the like button, so not going to give you too much of a head start, but you might want to smash it. And now, so bullish on the dollar, bearish on euro, and then oil. What a move on oil here. Everybody knows what's going on in the world. The current situation is definitely creating some volatility. Just some simple supply and demand information, right? When supply chains get disrupted, that is definitely going to change, you know, the ability for oil to move throughout the world. So that caused some volatility here, and you can see it here within price. This thing popped, went from $73 to $120. Crazy. Crazy. What a move. What a move. So everything that's going on in the world is definitely causing some volatility within oil. For that reason, I really don't even want to participate here. I don't really have an opinion on this. So, you know, I don't really, it's just, I'm not looking to go against the news. That's the same thing as like FOMC or CPI. You have no clue what's going to happen with the news. So I don't know if I want to bet against it. So don't really have an opinion here. I don't even want to form a bias. So I'm going to move on to the next one. NQ and ES, I had a bullish bias, as you can see here. I had a bullish bias because ES failed to run below this low here. Okay. ES failed to run below this low here, while NQ did run below that low. Okay. That's why you could see the bullish SMT here. But after that happened, we never got the move higher to the swing high. So I don't, you know, I'm not ready to change my bias here, but with these market conditions, this bias is just rough. Like, just take a look at this, right? What is this? What is this, chat? What is this? Look at this range. We've been in this range since February 6th. So more than a month long of a very tight, indecisive, choppy range. There's nothing easy about that. There's nothing easy about that. So, you know, in my opinion, we've spoke about ranges before. Okay. If anybody is not aware of how to deal with consolidation, here's a quick input to that. Okay. When you have a range, the highest probability play within a range is looking at the extremes of the range, right? These gray boxes right here. This is the extreme of the range. This is the extreme of the range. Looking for a move from the extreme of the range to equilibrium of the range. Right? So what I'm trying to say is positioning here and aiming here, positioning here, and aiming here. Okay, so when you're dealing with ranges, look to position yourself at the extreme of the range and target equilibrium of the range, 50%, whatever you want to call it. Okay, so in the middle of the range, I don't really want to be positioning myself in here when dealing with ranges. Okay, so that's why I'm saying, there's nothing easy about this. We've just been stuck in this range for over a month now. So, honestly, if you've survived until now, give yourself a pat in the back, because a trending market is so much easier to trade, right? Like who was here, who was here during this time right here? Who was here during this time? Because this was simple. This is easy stuff right here, right? This is very directional, right? So in terms of having a bias, it makes it much easier when price is directional compared to this over here, where price is just doing nothing. So, what I do have to say about that is I'm very glad that we started looking at the initial balance, because, right, the initial balance you don't need to have a bias for. You just wait for the first hour and wait to see what price gives you. So having something where you can just be objective to price and allow price to tell you what's going on, yeah, that's pretty helpful. Okay, that's pretty helpful. So with that being said, I really don't have a bias here for ES or NQ as well. I would rather be neutral and just wait for an IB at this point, because, go ahead and tell me, like, do you guys think you're bullish or bearish today looking at this right here? It's hard to make a bias when looking at this range. So let me know what you guys think. Are you bullish or bearish today? I took all three of those IBs this week, made my head spin. The Globex IB has been really good recently. So yeah, there was like one loser in there, but out of like the last 5 to like 7 attempts, it was like one loser, one no trade, and like 5 wins. Globex IB has been really good recently. You told before you did a 65% win rate in IB New York session. So I did multiple back tests, and there was multiple different results. Okay, there was 3 different back tests. One of them had a 50% win rate. One of them had a 65% win rate. Here, let me just pull it up real quick. If you go to the announcements section of the Discord, I'm going to get to it in a second. That's where I posted the stats. Here we go. Okay. 63% win rate on one of the back tests. All right. That was one of them. It was a 63% win rate with a 1.8 RR. Let me get to the other back test. Okay. The other back test had a 52% win rate with a 1.2 RR. And then the third back test was a 63% win rate with a 2.9 RR. So I did 3 different back tests. All of the back tests had between 20 to 40 trades. And those were the 3 different results that I got. This week was ugly PA. How did you see this week? Yeah, it was ugly PA. But I am very happy with yesterday's trade. I got an IB on yesterday's trade, which was over here. Let me take a look. All right. Look how clean this was. This was the trade that I took yesterday. The high was formed first. High formed first. Low formed second. Short from 50% of the range. Take profit at the low. Stop loss at the high. Moved right to the take profit. So that yesterday's trade was a W, and it was beautiful. But that's another good example of not needing a bias and just taking a look at the IB. There really was no bias there. News in 7 minutes. Yeah, 8:30. All right, yeah, so it did already pass. We're at 8:35 already. We had PCE come in at 8:30. We also have jobs at 10 a.m. So be aware of JOLTS, job openings. That's another red folder at 10 a.m. Be aware of that. The daily FEG has not formed yet? Yes, that is correct, right? This over here, whether you're talking about the dollar or euro, that is correct. I agree with what you're saying. And I'm still looking at the same information. Yes, an FEG is a 3-candle pattern. 1, 2, 3. So the third candle needs to be completed for this to be confirmed. Yes, you are correct. And yes, I am still looking at the same information for both euro and the dollar. Good morning, Ash. Hey, Q Mendez. How are you doing today? Good morning, Shark. Hope your day is going well. Ezekiel, what's up? How are you today? Nico, good morning. Rapid Eye, good morning. Only True Trader, how are you doing today? Droxy, good morning. Summer Z, good morning. Azam, good morning. Island Dreams, how are you doing today? Adriano, good morning. What does IB stand for? IB stands for initial balance. Okay, it is the first 1 hour of the session. So from 9:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time to 10:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Rocky Mountain Trader, how are you doing today? Good morning. C Fit, good morning. Kevin, good morning. How's everybody doing today? Been out of town for a few days. Good to tune in again. Hopefully you went somewhere warm. Got a nice little vacation in. But very glad to be back. Good to see you again. Osho, good morning. Mika, good morning. Arnold, good morning. B adjust. Yeah, B adjust is on the daily chart. So take a look at this right here. Balance adjust. Adjust for new contracts. All right, so you can see how on mine, this one is highlighted. Compare that to settlement, right? Settlement is not highlighted. So I have balance adjust highlighted. I do not have settlement highlighted. It flies, it dies. Good morning. How are you doing today? Oh, it's your birthday too. W. W. Let's all throw a happy birthday in the chat for It Flies, It Dies. Happy birthday. Happy birthday. It's a perfect way to end the week. Birthday on a Friday? Perfect. The Trader Pivot, good morning. Jolly, good morning. Yes, you can use IB and Forex as well. Yes, you can. Yes, you can. Robert, good morning. How are you doing today? Ellie, good morning. And your birthday was yesterday. Happy birthday. Lots of birthdays. Trade with Steven. How are you doing today? No bias today, but you don't emphasize the midpoint for IB. Closing below or above makes a big difference. What do you think? The closure above or below the midpoint of IB is not something that I look at. Okay. Once again, I use the initial balance for the simplicity of the strategy. I do not want to add anything else to it. Like I want it to be bare bones. I want it to be as simple as possible. The moment that you put more information behind it, you need to make more decisions. And I do not want to do that. So I personally don't use that information. I'm going to allow it to remain simple. Have you discussed the daily bias on NQ? Yeah, I have no bias here on NQ, and this is the reason why. We have been stuck in this range for over a month, right? So clearly we are not moving higher or lower. We've just been going sideways. This is all we've been doing right here. Sideways, sideways, sideways. So for that reason, I'm just going to remain neutral on NQ and ES, and I'm just going to wait to see what the IB says today. So it is not clear. We are not one directional right now. We are chopping away in this consolidation. And for that reason, I'm going to be neutral in terms of bias, and I'm just going to read price like a book. Just read it from left to right. See what it says to me. Any tips on how you would approach evals trading solely the IB? Same exact way that you'd trade IB if you weren't in an eval, right? Pick a session. Determine which session works best for you, right? If you're from the East Coast of the US, then New York Open would probably be the best session for you. Take a look at the range between 930 to 1030. Analyze the low and the high of that range. Whichever one comes first, that's how we know whether to long or short. And take a trade. Personally, your strategy, your trading abilities, they shouldn't change when you're in an eval, right? Like, what's the difference? You're still just completing a trade. More importantly, you should fall in love with the process. Allow the results to be a byproduct. When you are completing a process, there's justifications to your actions, and that's how we know what is right versus what is wrong, right? If you're changing those justifications just because you're in an eval, then that sounds a little risky. It should remain the same whether you're in an eval, in a funded account, in a live account. It's all the same strategy. Why is it hard to go from minis to micros when you know the answer is correct? Well, first thing is I don't think we ever truthfully know if the answer is correct. Right? There's no guarantee in this market. Nobody knows what's going to happen in the future. So in my opinion, I don't think we know that the answer is correct. I think we need to be objective and allow the probabilities to play out. Accept the randomness by controlling your risk management. So, the reason why it's so hard to go two minis from micros is probably the dollar amount. You're probably attached to watching that P&L fluctuate, and seeing the larger dollar amount is probably inducing some kind of intrusive emotion that's keeping you away from executing properly. What time is Mr. ZINC coming on? He should be here in about 15 minutes. He did say 9 a.m., so we shall see. We'll see if he shows up at 9 a.m. Please, can you demonstrate how to use IB in Forex? So the strategy does not change whether you're using Forex or using indices. So I'll show you a trade here on, let's just pick a random day. All right, so let's go to Tuesdays. Let's go to Tuesdays Globex. All right, so it does not matter whether you're talking about Euro or if you're talking about NQ and ES. Okay? The strategy does not change. Okay, so it is the first 1 hour of the session that you are trying to trade. Right? So if you're trying to trade Euro during London session, you would pick the range of 3 a.m. to 4 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Okay? You analyze the low to the high of that range. Right, so I'm about to do it again here. Ready? Let's see. Give me a second here. Yep, 7 p.m. Okay. The low to the high of the range. Right? Notice how the low was set first. The high was set second. That means that we would long. Right, so this would be a long from 50% of the range, and we would target the range high. Right, so we would be entering a long right now, right here, because we're already at 50% of the range. And let's see what happens. Wow, if you didn't get stopped out there, you're the luckiest person ever. But that looks like a stop loss. That should be a stop loss. That should be a stop loss. Wow, it's just edging the range both times. That's crazy. So it should have been a stop loss right here. It depends on if you got filled or not. Okay? But it's the same exact thing. It doesn't matter whether you're using it on indices or Forex. Choose which session you're going to trade. Globex, Asia, London, New York. Analyze the low and the high of that first 1 hour. If the low gets formed first, we're looking for longs. If the high gets formed first, we're looking for shorts. Okay? France and Italy open talks with Iran. Yeah, so this whole situation that's happening is clearly causing volatility within the market. So let's take a look. All right. Yeah. Of course, we get a little pop from NQ and ES and a little drop from oil. We need to be on top of that right now. We need to be on top of that right now because it is going to cause volatility. All right. We got to be on top of that. All right. Was talking more about sizing in this case. given it's closer to a 1-to-1 risk to reward most of the time and the given trade frequency, you have to understand that it's not a 1-to-1 risk to reward. But I understand that you're looking at the position indicator tool and seeing a 1-to-1 risk to reward. But what you're not understanding is the volatility in the market changes every single day, right? So let me give you an example real quick. This 1-to-1 risk to reward is 68 points for a take profit, 68 points for a stop loss. Okay? Yes, that is a 1-to-1 risk to reward. That doesn't mean your results are going to show a 1-to-1 risk to reward because of the volatility that's in the market. For example, if this loss right here was minus 68 points, right? So let's say on Monday, you take a loss of minus 68 points. Then on Tuesday, the range is much larger. On Tuesday, the range is 140 points. And you win on this trade, right? So you win 140 points, you lose 68 points. That's about a 1-to-2 risk to reward. You understand what I'm saying? The volatility in the market changes every single day. So your results, that does not guarantee your results to be a 1-to-1 risk to reward. It's determined by the amount of points that you capture, right? If your losses are smaller than your winners, then that's what determines your risk to reward, okay? For example, I did 3 different backtests on this strategy, and all of them had a larger than 1-to-1 risk to reward. Every single backtest. One of the backtests had a 2.95 RR. So it is determined by the amount of volatility that is in the market. Gotcha. So you would choose some sort of fixed contract size to measure your outcome. Yep, fixed contract size or fixed dollar amount, right? So like, for example, set a specific dollar amount. Let's say we'll only use $500 a day, right? So if you're under that dollar amount, great. If you're at that dollar amount, great. If you're over that dollar amount, then maybe don't take it, right? At least have some kind of limit and make it simple on yourself. Just use micros, right? Because a 143 point range on NQ is going to be a much larger loss than if you were using micros. Much easier to manage on micros. For a New York session, do you use 9 a.m. to 10 a.m.? It is 9:30 a.m. to 10:30 a.m., the first 1 hour of the session. No matter what session you're using, it is the first 1 hour of the session. If you go to the general chat of the public Discord right now, I put a screenshot in there for all of the IB sessions. If you're in the general chat of the public Discord, I put a screenshot of all of the sessions for IB. So chat, once again, if we get the likes, let's make a deal real quick. Let's do like, I gotta make it a hard deal. Actually, I don't know. We gotta hit some numbers here, chat. Let's see, what do we got here? All right, 250 likes, 250 likes, and we will do a giveaway. All right, so everybody smash the like button. If we get the like button to 250, I will do a giveaway. Okay? Ash, for risk, you use fixed micros or fixed amount of money. We just talked about that, right? Use a limit. Use some kind of limit, right? If your overall risk limit is $500 on the day, there you go, right? That is the risk limit. Anything below $500 is good. Anything above $500 is incorrect, right? So just position size accordingly for how large the range is. If you could choose one account right now, what would it be? It would be one of the pro accounts. Either the pro account at My Funded Futures or the pro account at Lucid. 1 day to pass is absolutely phenomenal. And the payout caps are absolutely phenomenal there as well, along with the consistency rules. So the pro account is definitely like the premium option that is for people that are looking for larger payouts. So I would use either one of those. So we got about another 30 minutes before New York Open here. We're going to wait for New York Open, and we're going to analyze the IB to see if we can get a trade today. I have no interest in having a bias because of the daily range, and that's why I'm saying I'm just going to wait. This is actually why I enjoy having the IB in the tool belt. Being able to just wait and allow price to do whatever it wants to do instead of being one-sided on a bias allows us to still get into some opportunities. Yeah, we should have Mr. ZINC coming up shortly. I'm not sure what the deal is with the camera, so it might just be via voice. You might just join the voice chat. We'll see what happens here. Probably just do voice because I should have set up the camera. I didn't get enough time to. So definitely throw a bunch of questions in the chat for the IB because the IB GOAT is going to be coming up here shortly. All right. Z GOAT. Yes. ZIB GOAT. Ash, can you please analyze the NQ London Long? Yeah, that was a beautiful one. You can take a look at it here. That was a beautiful one. Very clear. You have a swing low, you have a swing high, you have a new low, then a new high. Okay. FVG is also right in here. All right, so you get a breaker plus an FVG. Just beautiful stuff. The other thing is you have SMT over here as well. Right, so take a look at this real quick. This is what gave it away. Look at the 9 a.m. low from Monday. Take a look at the 9 a.m. low from Monday. Notice how ES ran below it. Notice how ES ran below it, but NQ did not. Right? Bullish SMT. Okay. Bullish SMT. Higher time frame key level, higher time frame SMT, lower time frame breaker, lower time frame FVG. So entering over here during the 445 candle makes complete sense. Stop at the low, aiming for 2R. That was beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. I got the TP from London. Let's go, Haynes. Very good job. Let's go. Let's go. The GOAT is in the house. Let's get him up here. All right. Give me a second here, chat. set this up real quick. Let's get them up here. Alrighty. All right, chat, let's get Mr. ZINC up here. Let me give him a call. Good morning. Give me 2 seconds here. Let me get this volume correct. All right, that one's probably it. I think I learned from my mistake last time. One more. Let me get the Discord one over as well. Okay. All right. I think we might be good this time.
Yeah.
Good morning. How's your day going?
Good. How about yourself?
Doing good. Chat, do me a favor. Give me a thumbs up if you can hear both myself and Mr. ZINC. Let me know how the sound is. Give me a thumbs up if it is working well.
You want to do the camera this time as well?
We should have set it up before this. Loud and clear. So the only thing is I don't want, because if I set it up
again.
Yeah, that's the only issue that I'm having. Like, I want to get some high quality shorts going from these conversations as well. And the last one came out very grainy because of the way that we set it up.
We just do a voice call like this too. That's fine.
Yeah, I think that would be best for today. And to be honest, I don't know how many times you'd want to do this, but we should continue to keep hopping on some of these live streams.
Absolutely.
So, how's your week going? How's your morning going?
Very good. Week's going great. I've been on a streak and a half with the IB. Mainly the Globex IB has been what's setting the week apart from the rest.
And majority just NQ and ES, right?
Yep, and that's the only pair that I did take one trade this week on gold. It was actually last night, if you want to go and take a look at that, for the Globex IB. Probably about as perfect as it could have been.
So Globex IB on gold from 1800 to 1900. Let's get over here. All right. Let's take a look at this. So there's 1800, 1815, 1830. All right, so must have been long, right?
Yep. And then there's your retest right there. Oh, is this the one from last night?
Yeah, this would be last night. So, right.
That one still ended up working. I think the one that I did end up taking was Wednesday. Sorry.
Oh, okay.
Wednesday night.
Wednesday.
But either way, it still works very well on gold.
Let's get over to Wednesday.
Been good.
All right, so let's take a look again. 1800, 1830. Wow. Oh, so this one was a short on Wednesday?
Yes. Yeah, that's the right one. And then, so that's your range right there. And then you go and wait for the 50% retracement. So fast forward a couple candles there.
Oh, wow. Beautiful. Wow.
So it works. The same concept works for gold for Globex. I need to tweak it a little bit, see if there's any other stipulations that I should follow. If not, the overall strategy is exactly the same. Same thing for London session, same thing for Asia session. The only thing is I don't really trade it during Asia, simply because Asia usually overlaps with what New York sessions, or not New York, sorry, with what Globex is doing. So Globex, for most cases, will still be intact when Asia is trading.
Very good. So that was one of the questions that already came up this morning as well, is the strategy doesn't change for any of the markets, right? Like you would do the same thing in gold, just like you do the same thing in euro, just like you do the same thing in NQ.
Exactly, yes.
And so same thing with the times as well, right? Like euro
Yep.
London session would also be 3 a.m. to 4 a.m. for the IB.
Same time frames for everything. The only difference is, and this is something that I'm not too familiar with, I'm very used to using pairs with ES and NQ. I don't know what pairs work best with, say, if you want to go and trade YM and ES, or if you want to go and trade Euro and USD, or Euro and JPY.
Yeah, GBP
I'm not sure which
as
ones
well.
work the best together. So that would be something that, if you do trade those pairs, try to figure out and find, tweak for yourself which ones work best.
Absolutely. So this one was this question just keeps coming up. So sorry if I'm repeating myself, but it's because everybody in chat here likes to ask some of the same questions. This entry happened after the IB was set.
Correct.
But a lot of people still are getting confused on when they are allowed to start entering. So if I remember correctly, and please do correct me if I'm wrong, but the first conversation that we had on this live stream, you had mentioned being willing to take entries starting around like 10:15, and I think the statement was that, you know, it's an additional risk because the IB isn't set yet. Is there anything that goes into that? Like, is there something additional?
For me, 10:23 is when the earliest I'll get an entry. You can go earlier. The earlier you go into the IB, the more risk you take on, because it could possibly, and there's a great example of this from this past Thursday, last Thursday, not yesterday. I entered probably 10 minutes early on that one, and it went and almost took a new IB low and then ended up breaking the IB low. So the risk that you take on when you enter early is that there's a possibility that price, especially with how volatile the market's been, there's a possibility that price will go and take a new low or a new high before the IB is done setting, and that will invalidate the trade before you're even able to have your stop loss hit or have your take profit hit. So it changes the whole bias of the model, and you're unable to let the model play out if you enter too early. That's the added risk that you're taking on.
And you can see it here. Yeah, last Thursday, it looked like it was going to be a long until, and then 10 a.m. was a reversal. And then by 10:30, it had made a new low. So that changes it from a long to a short, because then it means the high was set first and the low was set second.
Exactly.
But you wouldn't have known that if you didn't wait until 10:30.
Yep, and I did end up making that mistake. I entered early. I entered at about 10:20 on Thursday, and I ended up taking a loss because of it. Granted, it was a 30-point loss because I noticed that SPY went and took a new low. NQ was still intact for the high. SPY indicating shorts, NQ indicating longs. Definitely don't take the trade then.
So I do remember this trade too, because I remember looking at ES. And maybe that's one of the giveaways, is that ES had already made that new low, before NQ made that new low. So there is like a little bit of insight there in terms of weakness, because one, there's the difference between NQ and ES. Like if ES has a new low where NQ hasn't yet, then they're doing something different, and that's a cracking correlation. But seeing ES already make that new low before NQ did, that sounds like hesitation. That sounds like maybe we should wait.
Exactly. So for those trades, I just simply try to avoid them. You can try to trade them. I have seen a couple instances where the low will get taken on SPY and then QQQ will whiplash back up and that will take the high. But ultimately, you're the one trying to call BS on one of the tickers. So
Right.
I just try to avoid that skewed data point.
Is the Globex time for gold the same?
Yep. The only time, and this is why I don't trade gold during New York, I actually just figured this out earlier this week. The actual open, the actual New York Open for gold is 15 minutes before New York Open.
Okay.
So it's the hit time that the IB is based off of, because that's when the first trades are placed on gold for New York. As for everything else, the times are the same. So if you're trading the IB for gold, it's 9:15 to 10:15 as opposed to 9:30 to 10:30 for the IB. The data doesn't collect it that way because it collects it based on 9:30 open to 10:30 open. That's why gold has one of the lower win rates for the IB.
Very good. That's good. That's a good stat to have right there too. Just knowing gold. Chat, just give me 2 seconds. I guess there's a timer on these accounts, so it logged me out. We are not going anywhere. Please just give me 2 seconds. I'm going to change the screen so that you guys don't get my login information. So we're still here. Just give me 2 seconds, please. Give me 2 seconds. All right, we're getting back into the live account. I would like to take a trade if one happens today, but you guys do not get my account info. So, all right, thank you very much. I guess there must be, was that an hour-long timer? Because it's only been 8 a.m. to 9 a.m.
What's the timer for?
It auto signed me out of my live account in Trade-Evade. Oh.
Oops, sorry about that. I didn't mean to disconnect there.
Everybody's getting signed out right now.
That was weird.
So we do have a bunch of questions coming across too. If you don't mind, I'm going to keep rapid firing because
Go for it.
These guys and girls are very interested, and I'm just going to throw this out there first. Chat, you have to go give Mr. ZINC a follow. The amount of people that he's helping with the IB is astonishing. When I met Mr. ZINC, that's when I started looking at the IB, and I could first-handedly say, like, I've had a handful of winners since starting the IB. So he has some extremely valuable information. Go over to his social media pages. Make sure you follow him. I believe he has PDFs on the strategy and everything. Go grab them because, man, Globex IB recently, correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure over the past week, it's been like 5 for 6 or like 5 for 7. Like there's been a lot of winners.
7 for 8 over the past 2 weeks.
Wow.
On the Globex IB, the only loss was the Wednesday, and funny enough, that loss also came from me disrespecting the data, which is an added reason for why you need to trust the data. Wednesdays, so Wednesday night, the data is 50-50 across the board, meaning that you're better off just flipping a coin, regardless of if the high or low forms first. It's a 50-50 chance that it goes and takes the high or the low.
So the thing that I appreciate the most is everything is statistically backed. Like it's not, when you make these comments, it's not like, it's not your opinion. It's not your experience. You're always referring to an answer based upon statistics and probabilities.
Yep.
And that's what everybody needs to understand, is that all of our experiences are going to be unique to ourselves because we are the ones clicking the buttons, and we all have our own emotional stability, mental stability. So results are going to differ depending on the individual, but the thing that doesn't change is the statistics, the probabilities.
Exactly.
The probability of the model is going to remain the same, but you're going to get different results depending on your ability to execute the model.
Yep.
Like a very simply put statement would be like, if you're too fearful to hold on to a position until it reaches TP, the person that's okay with holding that position is going to hit a TP where you might not, even though the statistic of the IB working remains the same.
Exactly. And I still struggle with letting the trade run to full TP. Mainly, and I wouldn't say it's a bad thing in all cases. You had it happen the day that we had that first collab stream when I think we had NFP or something, and it was maybe a 400 point range, and you made 140 points in like 5 minutes, 3 minutes. And you
Yep.
said, I'm going to call it there. I just made someone's 8-hour shift in 3 minutes. I'm going to go enjoy my day. I'm not going to give this back. And most of the cases for this IB, I will do that during New York regarding the full TP. If it's like 80% of the full TP that hits, and then it takes another 2 hours for the rest of that TP to come in, at the very least have the stop loss at break even. But for the most part, if I make that much money in 5 minutes, I'm okay with that.
And funny enough, I think that day was that example too, because I do remember it did actually go to full TP after I exited.
Yeah, and it didn't. I think for SPY anyway, that day didn't hit until like 2 in the afternoon.
Right. So now I'm going to throw some of those questions at you. Nate is asking, do you wait for Tokyo Open at 7 p.m. to start the IB?
I actually don't trade the Tokyo Open. I just use, and if they line up with Globex, then that's just me being ignorant. I just wait for the 6 o'clock to 7 o'clock range. That's Globex. I know for a fact that when that range is set, that has a 72, 73% chance of playing out, aside from a Wednesday night. For Tokyo Open, I did have some people in my chat yesterday saying that they had a successful trade on it. Pip T has been posting about it quite a bit on social media. The key factor here is that you can go and pick any session you want with the IB, and it should be universal. There are going to be some that have a little bit higher success rate, like Asia is not going to work as well as Globex because Asia typically overlaps with Globex. London doesn't work as well, not in terms of the range or the size or the move that you're getting, but just because there's not really much volume that comes in at 3 in the morning. But if you're looking at Tokyo Open or if you're looking at Gold's Pit Open, those are all time frames that should be universal with what the IB works with.
And please understand that Globex and Asia, or Tokyo, whatever you want to call it, Globex and Asia are two different sessions.
Yep.
Globex is 6 p.m. to 7 p.m. Asia is 7 p.m. to 8 p.m. So just know the difference there. What is the win rate of the IB based on your data?
So for the data that comes with Edgeful, it's about 75% for my own data. And this is the big takeaway that I wanted to talk about this stream. There is a lot more that I use outside of just the IB. The IB itself, as I think has been shown, if you just trade the IB and you're using the IB at the 50%, that in itself is a winning trading model. What I add on to it is other stats like the inside bar stat, where price opens within previous day's range. You have an 87% chance of going to take previous day's high or previous day's low. For price opening outside of previous day's range, this is another one. Outside days, it has a 75% chance of coming back and hitting previous day's high or previous day's low. This all gets decided based on what the bias of the IB is. So if it's a bullish IB, you're going to have a better chance of going and hitting previous day's high. If it's a bearish IB, previous day's low. And if it's an outside day and a bullish IB, you're probably going to go and hit that previous day's low and vice versa. So there's other stats that I add in with the IB. I think my win rate has gotten up to, and I don't really care about the win rate. I just care about the money that I'm making And I think the more important trading statistic is your profit factor. As long as that's over 1, you're a profitable trader. Overall, I'd say the win rate's probably 80%, 78 to 80% on the IB with everything else I add into it.
So another perfect question that came across for that added into comment. Can you explain the gap fill percentages and how that plays a role into it as well?
Yep. So the gap fill is measuring your chance today, for example. We are currently gapped up, what, 0.5%, 0.7% on Qs? Let me go in, or if you could relay that to me.
I don't even have Qs on mine. Let's see, QQQ.
I'll go find it real quick. So we are gapped up right now on Qs 0.57%. So if you go over to, I know you don't have Edgefill, but I'll pull it up in just a minute. For Edgefill, they have, and this is where I get all the stats. I'm not trying to plug them. I apologize. But this is genuinely what I've been using since June of last year, and it's helped significantly. So going over to Qs, they have 3 different brackets. Right now, we're gapped up 0.55. That's in the 3rd bracket. These ones aren't as significant. For this gap, we only have a 33% chance of filling it versus a 67% chance of not filling it. That's not that significant of a data point. What that does for me, though, is it allows me to kind of set a bias for the day and know that we're probably not going to pull back into open, or we only have a 1 in 3 chance of pulling back into open. And I know you just said that you like how I refer to all the stats and everything else that's going along with trading based on like 80% stat or 75% stat. This has been the most beneficial change that I made to my trading over the past year, is putting the stress that I have in a position on the numbers as opposed on myself. So if I enter a position, I know that it has a 80% chance of happening, or for the IB, it has a 78% chance of happening on this day. I'm not in the trade, and this is important regardless of what your model is. I'm not in the trade hoping that it goes and hits my TP. I'm in the trade knowing that this is the odd, or this is the chance that it goes and hits my TP to the upside. This is the chance it goes and hits my stop loss to the downside. 78% chance versus a 20% chance. I'm putting my stress on the 70%. If it doesn't work out, I got unlucky. I hit a 1 out of 5 stat. I just move on to the next day, because statistically, over time, that should play out in the long run.
So when talking about that gap, are you analyzing that on the Qs versus NQ?
I always use QQQ. It's a little bit easier to get the gap on Qs as well. So I can just go over to TradingView. It shows in the bottom right, plus 0.53% right now. For NQ, you can do the same thing. It's just a little harder to go and see where the gap is overnight because it trades all night. This gap is also just referring to, and you can still go and find it on NQ. This gap is just referring to the New York to New York gap. So yesterday's close at 4 o'clock to today's open at 9:30.
Right. Very good. Very good information. Somebody is asking for a loss. So let me pull up a loss real quick.
You can go to Tuesday of last week.
I think Wednesday, was it Wednesday or Tuesday of this week as well? I was looking at a couple Globex earlier in the stream, and I believe one of them was a loss.
That would be Wednesday night last week. Wednesday night this week, actually, too.
All right, so I believe this one was a loss here as Tuesday night. So 1800 to 1900. So here's your example of the loss real quick, Andres. Once again, Globex IB is 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time to 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So you can see here that I've measured the high to the low of that range. The high was set first here, and the low was set second. So that means we would be looking at this as a short, right? So shorting from 50% of the range, TP at the low, stop loss at the high, and let's see what happens. So this would be an entry for a short. Okay. And then we keep moving higher. And there's a stop loss. So just so you understand, every single strategy, it does not matter what strategy we talk about, will have losers. Like losing in this business is inevitable. Okay. Yep. For example, I did my own back testing on this since we've started talking about it. The first back test had a 52% win rate, right? So it was winning half of the time, losing half the time. The second back test had a 62% win rate. So it was winning a little more of the time, but still also losing. So yes, we will make sure to go over wins and losses without a doubt. And you have to understand that no matter what, the strategy remains the same. So that's the only thing that I want to point out here is that you need to be objective to your results, right? Don't get too overconfident when you have wins. Don't get too fearful when you have losses, right? For example, what I'm trying to say is looking at this loss right here, I would not be sitting here saying, what do I need to refine? What is the thing that I missed that I should have added to this strategy to make sure this loss didn't happen? In my opinion, I would complete the strategy the same exact way the next day, no matter what.
And that's one of the biggest downfalls that I see everyone do is when you have a winning day, I'd never see anyone go in and say, why did this day win? Or what was the added confluence? And maybe this is just partial to me, but only when I see people lose that they start going, what's wrong with the strategy? There's something wrong with it because it lost for this reason or this reason or this reason. No one ever goes and does that when it's a winning day or a winning trade.
Right.
So that's always a statistic that you need to prevent yourself from doing. Just because it lost one day does not mean you need to go and change up the entire strategy. And that's also leading into strategy hopping. That's one of the worst things that you can do is not perfect a strategy or not perfect a model. So you need to be able to handle the losses that come with that trading strategy. With those losses, you need to, maybe if it happens for 2 weeks at a time and you go on that type of losing streak, then it's time to refine your model. If it's 3 losses in a row, there's not really much that you need to change about the model. You just need to let it play out over the long run.
And so I personally think that comes with time. So
yep.
The amount of conviction that you have in something is built through execution. The more times you do something, the more times you see something happen, the more you'll understand it, the more you'll be more comfortable with it. Like, for example, I could tell you that the back testing that I've done, there was moments in time where there was 3 and 4 loss streaks. So even with me saying that, even with a 3 and 4 loss streak, all 3 of the back tests that I completed finished profitably. So they all had good results. But if that moment in time where you change things during a 3 loss streak, you would never get to that profitable result because you just changed something in the middle of the middle of the back test.
Exactly. Now it's a completely new trading strategy.
Exactly. So got to be comfortable with being uncomfortable. You got to understand that losing is a part of this game. And when you become the most efficient loser, that's where you're going to have clarity. That's where you're going to be able to fall in love with the process and understand what is and is not a trade.
Yep. And I actually really like, for any continuation trades I might take for the day, I really enjoy stopping my day after 2 losses. That's one of the biggest changes I've made in the past year as well. As opposed to stopping when I hit a daily loss limit or stopping when I'm down 600 or 800 or whatever amount, I stop after I'm at 2 losses. So even if I'm up 600 on the day and then I take a loss and I end up up 400 on the day, that's when I'll call my day. I won't call it trying to make that profit back on that last losing trade. I'll call it after the second loss, because anything after 2 losses, you're trying to make back what you lost.
Very good information. So that also leads me into one of the next questions that were asked. Is there anything else that invalidates the trade?
So for the most part, the trade and this is true across all models, but for the IB specifically, the trade is valid until it's not. The only thing that invalidates the trade is if SPY and Qs are out of touch or they're not coordinated with each other. So if SPY is pointing towards an upside break, Qs is pointing towards a downside break, there's no reason to take that trade. There's also no reason to chase the entry up to whatever level. If you miss your entry at 50%, there's no reason for you to go and try to get an entry at 10%, and now your risk reward is super skewed. I will try occasionally. I'll try an entry at 25%, but still, where do you put your stop loss for that? Where's your TP? How long do you hold the trade for? That's all things that come with trying to enter early or chasing a trade. So the only thing that will invalidate it is if SPY and Qs are not lined up.
Very good. So just to reiterate that, if anybody doesn't understand what he's saying, if ES is showing a short and NQ is showing a long, those are two different IBs. That's what would invalidate the trade.
Exactly. And we are not in the place to try and call which one is accurate and which one's not. That's an added variable that we do not want to take on. So for that trading strategy, for that model, if they're not lined up, we're not taking the trade. Simple as that.
And then I also want to double down on the risk management comment. Something that would invalidate the trade for me as well is risk management. I'm a firm believer of less is more. I take one trade a day maximum. So I don't care if there's a second trade available. I'm not taking it because of my own limitations on risk. So that has nothing to do with the model, and it has everything to do with my decision of risk management. So
very good.
You know, if 50% was tagged once and it gives you a good entry and it goes to take profit and you're green on the day, I'm done. I don't care if you get another re-entry. And even further so, that kind of invalidates the trade because the probability that you're betting on is the IB breaking. So exactly. I guess that's the only other statement that I would make is, and I've said this before, if the target is completed before you get an entry, that would also invalidate it.
Exactly. Yep. And that's the IB stat itself is the one that you're pushing to get. You're not looking for a continuation on the IB. You're not looking for added trades with the IB. You're just looking for that IB to continue to break the IB. You're not looking for anything outside of that because then that's a completely different trading model in itself.
Very good. So another really good question here is, which would you trade? So if you're looking at both ES and NQ, are you just taking whichever one gives you an entry first? Or is there something to that?
I take the one that has the entry that's closer to 50%. So if I'm looking for longs, we're lined up for an IB long right now. I am taking the entry that is closer to 50%. If Qs is at 25% of its IB and SPY's right smack dab at 50%, I'm going to take it on SPY. Not because of risk or volatility. I risk the same amount if I'm trying to risk $200 and it's a 20-point IB versus a 100-point IB on Qs, 2 MES contracts will equate to 1 NQ contract, 1 MNQ contract. So the risk is the same. I try risking about 200. It's really just based on which one's closer at 50%. I get that question all the time too, and I try to answer it whenever I see it. I'm taking the one that is as close as possible to 50%.
Very good. Wow, chat. This is pure gold, man. I just got to say it again. His links are in the description of this video. You got to go give him a follow. I mean, the amount of value that is being shared here is incredible, and I'm trading the IB itself now because of it. That's quite literally how valuable it is, and it's given me a couple payouts already. So, go check out Mr. ZINC's profiles. Give him a follow. He's got some insanely valuable information on the IB, and he's helping everybody else out. So he's He's a great guy.
Thank you.
Andres just made a good point, and this is something that I want to point out as well. I've never traded CPI the day of, FOMC the day of, and non-farm payroll the day of.
Yep.
So those are times. I'll add one more: bank holidays. So those are just scheduled breaks for me. That has nothing to do with the IB itself. I'm not pointing to any type of statistic. The only thing that I'm pointing to is having a scheduled break. Like, personally, just in terms of real life and health, I don't think it's always the best to be staring at the screen 24/7 every single day. So just to be here in the long run, I think it's a good idea to have some scheduled breaks. And those scheduled breaks that I've chosen for myself are CPI, NFP, FOMC, and bank holidays. So just know the difference. It has nothing to do with the model. It has everything to do with my own decision making of wanting to save some mental capital. So, skipping those days on the IB is something that I do.
Actually, another hard rule as well is no trading the IB prior to NFP. The day before NFP, Thursday, we did have it on a Monday one time, I think a couple of weeks ago. That is a no trade day as well. So those have that. The Thursday before NFP has a very high losing rate, whether it's based on NFP or something else, I'm not sure. Those days are a no trade day as well. So if you see the IB on a Thursday prior to NFP and you're itching to get long on it, just avoid that one.
Very good. And so what type of risk are you using as well? Is it a fixed dollar amount? Is it a fixed percentage? Is it just what the IB is showing? Right?
I typically aim for about $200 risk per trade for the IB. So my example I just had, if it's a 20-point IB on SPY and a 100-point IB on Qs, that's one MNQ contract or two MES contracts, sorry.
So the same example, but if on MNQ, if the range is a 200-point range, are you just not taking that trade at all? Or are you putting in validation closer than the IB?
So you can actually manipulate MES and NQ. NQ is almost always 2x the risk of MES. Fun fact for anyone that didn't know that. So if you want to risk $200, and for your example, it's a 200-point range on MNQ, it will typically be about a 40-point range on MES.
So take a look at both ranges, because you don't have to say no to a trade because MNQ's range is too large, that MES might fit that risk management.
Exactly.
Very good.
And you can go and take one contract on MES as opposed to taking two contracts, or one contract on MNQ even.
Right. And so that's for, you still feel that way about all accounts, or is that just the primary risk management for like 25Ks or 50Ks?
I try to do the same thing on all accounts.
Okay.
So my main thing that I do is I scale horizontally across accounts as opposed to scaling up per account. Scaling up in trades is difficult to do because you will eventually go on a losing streak, and you don't want to scale up as you're about to maybe overdo a losing streak. Obviously, we don't know when we're going to lose, but I scale over multiple accounts because I know at least that if I do go on a losing streak, I'm still gonna have to lose 10 to 16 trades in a row to lose those accounts, as opposed to if I size up for the first two losses of that losing streak, I might lose the accounts right there.
Very good. So we do have New York Open as well now. Like I said, I don't know if anybody was here earlier in the stream. I'm not willing to have a bias today. This daily range that NQ has been stuck in for way too long. We've just been going sideways for the past month. So please don't ask me for a bias, because I don't have one. I'm going to sit here and wait for the IB, since since we have the IB goat in here, I'll just wait and see what the IB says. I'll be neutral for the day. If IB gives us an opportunity, we'll take it. If not, then, you know, that's what I'm doing here this morning. I have no opinion on a bias. I'm not trying to be directional. I'll just read price like a book, be objective to it, wait for the IB and see what it says.
Very good. Yeah, I also have a very hard rule. I do not take trades during the first 15 minutes. That is where, for my own data, that is where 60% of my losses came from. Is trading during that first 15 minutes. So I just avoid that candle completely.
Yeah, usually the open has some type of manipulation. So if you get on the wrong side of that, it gets real volatile too, which can cause some issues there.
Yep. I have no desire to even trade when we have like a Monday, for example. The VIX, because of that news we had over the weekend, the VIX opened all the way up at 35.
Yeah.
And you cannot trade the same in a market that has a VIX trading at 35 as you would in a market that has the VIX trading at 17 or 22 or whatever you're typically used to for the VIX.
For anybody that's wondering what that is, since we don't talk about it much here, that's the volatility index. So the higher the VIX, the higher the volatility.
Yep. And the more inclined you are to get these nasty, like yesterday was a perfect example of it. The afternoon we had an 18% chance of going up, and we had a 20% chance of going down after the IB broke yesterday. And that correlated directly to nasty chop, but that chop also was 100-point wick up, 100-point wick down, 100-point wick up, pretty much every 15 minutes for the entire rest of the New York session.
Yeah, that was some ugly chop after the morning.
Yep.
The IB50 was acting like the what did I say? The Super Bowl winning defense. I mean, this thing, it was kind of crazy, to be honest. Just getting rejected by 50% of the IB every single time. This is one of those examples, though, that I had just mentioned earlier. I had the win in the morning there on the IB, and I left the chart. Like after the morning, like I went and got my steps in outside and never even came back. Whereas you can see you could have taken multiple shorts here, but it changes the model. Like you're betting on the IB to break. So if the IB already broke, then where's the probability there? Exactly. So it did give multiple short entries. Yes, it did. Like you could have tried to take multiple chances here. And sure, yeah, it played out nicely, but like that's not the point that we're trying to make here. The point that we're trying to make here is that you're betting on the probabilities of the IB breaking. So if it already broke, then that goes out the window.
Exactly. And then that's a completely different trading strategy in itself. Right. The trader pivot, I see that question in chat. So 200 risk no matter the account size. That's what I typically aim for, yeah. I like having the same risk because I've built a very familiar strategy here for myself anyway, trading it for probably the past 8 months now. I know for a fact that if I risk $200 per trade, Globex IB, New York IB, I'll lose about 20% of those trades, and I know that I can survive even a significant period of drawdown. I'm not going to get too hurt by it.
So when or if you even do, like during a losing streak, are you going to lower size? Or even during a winning streak, are you going to scale?
I don't scale up, and when I haven't hit a losing streak, thankfully, yet. This week might have been pretty close. Monday, the IB did lose, and then Tuesday also lost, but Tuesday I was leaning on that inside bar stat, and that's why I didn't take the IB shorts on Tuesday. So I lost one trade on it this week, and then the Globex trades, those ones made up for it either way.
Yeah, those Globex trades have been astonishing. I mean,
they've been terrific.
I sit down for dinner every night at this point, and the Discord just starts lighting up.
Yeah, it's on a terrific win streak right now.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous. But yeah, those are all trades that I'll take the about $200 risk on. I don't care to size up yet. I think there's still a lot of data that I need to collect to be able to confidently size up and know that I'm not going to lose my accounts or I'm not going to blow anything because I'm trying to take 3 or 4 MNQ on the IB as opposed to the 2 or 1 to 2 that I usually take. And for the IB, the ranges on most days, you're going to be making $200 to $400 on one contract on NQ. So sizing up any more than that with where your stop loss is on the trade as well kind of seems a little foolish because you're trying to make more on something that you're already making quite a bit on. I'd rather scale over multiple accounts as opposed to try to size way up on one IB trade.
So I think that was the key right there. We can still scale, just scaling accounts instead of position size.
Exactly.
So keep doing the same exact thing that you're doing now, but instead of doing it on one account, do it across 5, 10, 15.
Yep.
Go copy trade. And the best part about that is the muscle memory that you're building, right? Like you're doing the same exact strategy the entire time, and that's what builds the conviction. And you can get to larger sizes, still risking the same amount. Just do it across 5 accounts this time instead of 1.
Yep.
So, and props to you because how many max payouts are we on now? I mean, this dude is hitting max payouts across, 5 Lucid accounts trading this strategy like that. That's why I wanted to speak with him so much, because the work proves the value. It's not even just him doing it, but it's when you can have a skill and it's repeatable and then it's also transferable, like other people are doing this and he's doing it and the results are speaking for itself, right? Like you had a max payout there with Lucid and it sounds like you're close to another one, no?
Yeah, I'm hopefully all things considered, I'll be able to get one today.
Yeah, here.
So that'll be my 3rd one over 9 days.
I'll knock on some wood for you. Hopefully I didn't just screw that up for you.
No,
But
I'll granted a nice IB today. I should be fine.
the proof is in the pudding is where I was going with that, chat. You don't even need to take him for what he's saying. Go execute it yourself and prove it to yourself by doing it yourself.
Yep, and I think it's probably one of the more simple models that you can follow. Especially, I put most of it out for free. It's one of the more simple models that you're going to be able to find and grasp and be able to trade when you learn it online. So it's not going to be one that you need 6 months of dedicated work to. Obviously, trading is a lot harder than I'm making it sound right now, but you're not going to need 6 months of dedicated work to understand which inverse fair value gaps you take or which ones you don't touch, or all the different stipulations that come with a lot of different trading strategies. This one's as bare bones as it gets.
And that is what I appreciate about it the most. It's so simple. Like simplicity brings clarity. When you don't have to ask yourself 90 different questions to get into a trade, it makes trading, there's a lot of clarity there. You understand what is a trade and what isn't a trade instead of thinking that there's always something that you're missing.
Yep.
Another good question just came across. Any importance given to the previous day's IB?
No, I don't look at that at all.
And there you go again. There's the simplicity again. Instead of adding anything to it,
yep,
just trade the IB.
Exactly. So you don't need to add in previous day's range or for the IB or previous day's IB 50 or previous day's entries. The only thing that I will use from previous days is the previous day's high, previous day's low. I've also started using the weekly high and weekly low. Outside of that, I don't really add anything else to the strategy. There's no reason for me to add these statistics on how Wednesdays operate when the IB is a specific range. I just trade the IB.
Very good. So London 50, when you make that comment, that's just the IB again for London session, correct?
No, London 50 is actually, have you ever used previous days 50 where you measure out previous days high and low?
Yes.
So London 50 is that same concept. It's just for the London range though. So London range I refer to as pre-market. So 4 to 9:30 open, 4 a.m. to 9:30. That's an added bias tool. So if price is trading over London 50, you're going to be bullish. If price is trading under London 50, you're going to be bearish for the day. And right now we're very clearly over London 50, so I'm going to be bullish. And it also lines up with what the IB is showing us so far, which we have an IB low form first into an IB high. Obviously, there's still another 40 minutes to go in the IB, but for now, it's showing a pretty good bias.
So it's referring to the entire London session.
Yep.
So is there any chance you can go over, we got another question about the inside bar percentage. People are just now
if
joining.
you actually want to go to
going over the inside bar percentage again, that would be great.
If you want to go to Tuesday into Wednesday this week, just go to Wednesday's trading session from this week. Let me know when you're there.
All right, so Wednesday at New York AM.
Yep, and then if you could, mark out Tuesday's high and Tuesday's low. You can use a horizontal ray for it, and it will drag it over.
Beautiful. Yeah, you can see the inside bar there. So before he goes further to the daily candle, and the inside bar itself is right now, as you can see on my screen, it's Wednesday. It's inside of Tuesday's range. So when he says inside bar, he's referring to the daily chart, and he's referring to the fact that Wednesday's daily candle has not gone below or above the previous day's high or low.
Correct. So for that, the way that you trade it on a Wednesday, and you can go down to a lower time frame now, 15-minute or 5-minute. For Wednesday, you are waiting for the IB to develop. So you have an 87 for the inside bar stat. You have an 87% chance of going to previous day's high or previous day's low when price opens within previous day's range. Obviously, we don't know which one it's going to go and hit. Typically, what I do is I just think as simple as possible. If you gave this to a 5th grader and you said, which level do you think is going to go hit because we're closer to this one or closer to that one? For this example, we were maybe like $2 away from previous day's high, so I did have a slight bullish bias to previous day's high. Regardless of that, now we go and wait for the IB. So even though I might have a bullish bias, I think price is going to go up. I'm not taking a trade during the first 15-minute opening candle anyway. I am now waiting for the IB to go and finalize and break, because I know once the IB breaks, there's only an 18% chance that it goes and hits the other high or the other low. So once the IB low gets taken, there's only an 18% chance that you will also go and take the high, or once the IB high gets taken, there's only an 18% chance that you will go and take the low. For Wednesday's example, once the IB broke, we had a bearish IB. So I know there's an 18% chance that we go up and take also previous day's high, which is over that IB high, or there's an 87% chance that we continue down and go and take out previous day's low. That's how I view that stat.
So it's based on which direction it breaks, and the direction that it breaks has the higher chance of going to the previous day level.
Exactly. So for the IB itself, the IB isn't just a trading strategy. The IB will also give you your bias for the remaining however long of the day that you're looking to take a trade. So if the IB is bearish, price only has an 18% chance of going and hitting the high. If the IB is bullish, price only has an 18% chance of going to hit the low after the IB is broken. If you also have added data points or added confluence on, say, the IB going to take the IB high or previous day's high, or the IB going to take opening week high, which is the high that you make on Monday and Tuesday, or the low you make on Monday and Tuesday. Those are all levels that you could get additional confluence on based on if the IB is bullish or if the IB is bearish.
Very good. And so let's take a look real quick.
Yeah, go ahead and play that out.
Yeah, it did break the low.
For this day, I managed to catch a continuation down to previous day's low. And that ended up being one of my larger profit days this week. It was 570 on Lucid.
Yeah, it did go to previous day low after the session. So that's very nice to see. But what's even nicer to see is that it never went back to the IB high, as you were explaining.
So I had to maintain bias to the downside. This one ended up, it was a little weird. MNQ took previous day's low. QQQ did not.
Interesting.
So it was, whether it was on slippage or whatever it might have been.
All right, let's see where we're at today too. And it does look like it's starting to set up the long for.
Yep. So we have the IB low formed pretty much right at the open right now. We actually had a very tiny wick to the downside, and now we are riding up to 24.8, which I would like to add in another little kind of rule for that. This one isn't too hard of a rule. I'll do it sometimes. I won't do it other times. I'm still trying to fine tune it. Psych levels. That's another really important thing to use with the IB. If we are 90% of the way to the TP on the IB, but we have a psych level. So let's say the IB high, for example, is actually I just used today. It's 24.805. Let's say it was closer to 24.815 or 24.820. I'll sometimes secure the position at 24.8 because that's a psych level that is going to have resistance associated with it. So price is going to struggle to break through that level. It might break it right away. It might also take an additional 2 hours, an hour to go and break that IB through that psych level at 24.8.
So what would you consider a psych level? Like round numbers or?
Every 100-point increment on NQ is a psych level.
That makes sense.
And those usually have, as we can see right now, those usually have a fair amount of resistance associated with them. So we did just reject off 24.8, 24.797. Those levels usually offer some resistance or support. So if you have your IB just below it or just above it, that level went and made a sweep, and you have a wick that goes to like 24.808 and then closes back under 24.8 for that psych level, you're going to have a little difficulty getting through that 24.8. And it's not a super strong confluence or added stat that you need to make sure that you're using. This is just something that I've noticed. It will still, in most cases, go and take that IB high or the IB low, but it will also struggle getting through that psych level.
Very good information. So we still got another 32 minutes here. New York Open, decent push higher so far. As you can see, I'm just going to be adjusting the IB to continue to keep measuring it. But as he already stated, we have the low set first, the high set second. So until the information changes, right now it's looking like a long. I am going to be waiting a bit. I'm still going to give probably about another 20 minutes before considering an entry. I would like it to get a little bit closer to 10:30 first. But if we do take it, looks like we have about 97-point range as of so far. Once again, the information can change heading into 10:30, but 97 points. This is one of the conversations that I keep trying to have with everybody. Everybody's just so concerned with the strategy being a 1-to-1 risk to reward. As you can see in some of our prior examples, this is already a larger range, right? Some of the IBs that we were looking at in Globex were 40-point ranges, 60-point ranges. So this is what I'm trying to, inform everybody of, is that the volatility in the market changes day to day. So yes, I understand that the position indicator tool says 1-to-1 risk to reward, but your results are going to change dependent upon the volatility that's in the market, right? Just because the position indicator tool says 1-to-1 risk to reward does not mean your stats are going to represent a 1-to-1 risk to reward, right? So for example, that IB loss that we saw on, that was like Tuesday's Globex or something like that, was like a 40-point loss, right? So if we had a win today on a 97-point win, then that's more than a 1-to-2 risk to reward if you're comparing those two trades. So
and that trade will end up doing far better for you in the long run anyway.
Right. So I just want to make sure everybody understands the risk to reward, that it's contingent upon the volatility that's in the market. It's not a guaranteed 1-to-1 RR.
Yep, and great reason as to why I don't really concern myself with the win rate on a strategy. I'm more so concerned with the profit factor that I have overall. So the profit factor tells you, in all instances, it tells you for every dollar that you lose, this is how many you make. So if I have a profit factor of 2, and this is so few people go and look at the statistic, and it's a little frustrating that everyone's more so concerned with your win rate and what your risk reward is. And if you have a negative risk reward, you're a terrible trader. If you have a win rate below 60%, you're a horrible trader, or they won't even take a look at the strategy. Your profit factor is the only thing that matters. You can have a 90% win rate, but when you go and take that loss that happens 10% of the time and that nukes your profit factor below 1, what does it matter if you have a 90% win rate or if your risk reward is even 10?
So the thing that really gets me with that conversation is people don't understand that it only takes one trade to ruin your entire account. So you could be sitting there with a 90% win rate, but if your one loss blows the account, then a 90% win rate doesn't matter.
It's absolutely nothing.
So instead of being focused on the win rate, in my opinion, I would just be objective to the results. It's not something that you can exactly control, because not every trade is going to be a win, not every trade is going to be a loss, and we can't determine the volatility that's in the market. So don't miss out on a trade because you're sitting there saying, oh, it's only a 1-to-1 RR, right? That's not a part of the decision making. That's what I'm trying to say today, is that just be objective to your results, allow your results to be a byproduct, and objectively analyze your results is really what it comes down to.
Exactly.
Let's see, we have another one. After 10:30 and the IB is showing a long at 50% retrace and price has already retraced below 50%, do you immediately enter?
That is an added stat. I'm trying to tweak that a little bit as well. Also, we're getting a pretty nice dip. So this is a great example of showing that it's too early to try and enter at 50% right now, because we could very easily go and take a new IB low, and then that switches your whole bias. For the IB, if it's below 50%, there is a stat that says that the success rate on the IB below 50% significantly lowers your odds of going and hitting the correct IB high or IB low. It's a little difficult to find, tweak, and measure, because it doesn't scale to if you open 10 cents from the IB low or if you open 10 cents below 50% of the IB. So it's the same stat saying that you're either over or under the midpoint. What you can add in for that is volatility or the range, maybe. Size of the range is another really important factor. Last stream that we had, NFP, the IB range ended up being, as I said earlier, like 400 points. So it's very unlikely that you're going to have a 200-point continuation to the downside and go and take out that IB low, even if you open just below 50%, as opposed to just continuing up and going and taking that IB high. So it's a difficult measure to go in with. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. For the most part, I would say that over or under the midpoint, as long as it's within a couple of cents, you're fine. Now, if you're, like we covered on Tuesday's example, if it's 80%, 85% of the way to breaking the IB to the downside, you're probably not going to take that same trade.
Very good information. So closer to 50% makes sense. Basically at invalidation doesn't make sense.
Exactly. Yes, correct.
Very good. And so what about what type of orders too? Are these all market orders that you're hopping into? Do you limit order? Same thing with the TPs. Are TPs limit orders? Are those just manual closes?
I typically do limit orders on the high or the low. So if I have a TP for the, I'm going to go and use today as an example. If I have a TP at 24,805, I'll set two sell limit there since I'm long. And then for the 50% entry, I will typically, what I try to do is I will put the order itself at 50% for a limit buy. And then I will wait and hope that it hits. I don't try to mark order because then that most times correlates to, this is just for me, most times if I put a market order in, I'm more likely to tilt if I, not necessarily tilt, but chase the trade is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
So if I miss getting a perfect entry at 50%, and we know that the 50% is it's an accurate measure to use. So we know that price should go and proceed down to 50%. I'm going to put an order, a limit order at that level, and it should hit.
That makes a lot of sense because market ordering means you're making some kind of decision compared to allowing the market to play out the probabilities that we're trying to analyze here.
Exactly. And I see a lot of people struggle with trying to, if they miss the order, if they miss getting filled, they will end up somewhat tilting, and they chase it, or they get frustrated that they didn't get the fill, and now your entry, instead of being at 50%, your entry's at 45 or 40%, and now you have a
without a doubt, that is the hardest part to this, is being able to stay patient there.
The patient factor is the most difficult part about the IB 100%, 110%. So making sure that you get an entry within respected, like right now, it's right at 50% of the IB. You need to be patient enough to wait for the next 13 to 15 minutes to get your entry, as opposed to chasing it right now. And you're like, I don't want to miss my entry, is what a lot of people will do. And next thing you know, you're down $50, 50 points. The IB is not even valid to the downside or the upside anymore, and you're hoping that it's going to your level as opposed to knowing that it should.
Amazing information. I've gotten that feedback so much during my time on social medias that everybody's always wondering why I only take 1 or 2 trades a week. And it always boils down to survival, really, because if you're doing that chasing stuff, if you're doing that discretionary stuff that causes tilting, that's what induces emotions that are going to negatively impact your ability in this business. Or you can just choose the perspective of wanting to be here in the long term and figuring out the things that allow you to survive versus the things that ruin your accounts. And if you side on caution and risk management, right, the things that will allow you to survive, then in my opinion, you're going to be here in the long run. The people that blow up are the people that are impulsive, are the people that are on the emotional roller coaster, are the people that think that they're smarter than the market. So they try to be discretionary, and maybe it works out for some people, but a lot of the people that blow up are usually those individuals. So,
and on that note as well, for people that are trading for the long run, you need to avoid things that are going to send you in tilt.
Right.
So tilt starts long before you're down 2, 3, 4 trades in a row. The tilt starts when you are up $600 in the day and you go and take that one more trade to try and make another 100 or force pass your eval or whatever it might be. The tilt starts when you don't have the ability to close the laptop or close your account out, and then next thing you know, you're in 4 more trades, and now that last trade that you end up going and taking doesn't have a stop loss on it because you're just trying to make all of it back.
Yeah.
And I see that very, very often with people that go into tilt. And you know what? Happens to me every once in a while too. You take that one more trade, you get a little upset, and you're like, I'm just going to take another trade for a quick $50 or a quick $100, and that quick $100 turns into being down 600.
If that hasn't happened to you yet, then I personally don't believe that you're even trading because that is the natural experience of a trader. And I'm also a firm believer of trial by fire. Like you do have to make these mistakes to understand how to deal with them. So
exactly.
For anybody that is experiencing that right now, understand that it's okay. Just make a change, analyze it, be able to recognize it, and take a step forward. Don't allow that to keep happening, but understand that you're not horrible. It's not that you don't know what you're doing. It's just a learning experience is what I'm trying to say. Is it happens to every single trader. That is the normal experience of being a trader. Just take it as a learning opportunity and take a step forward from it. Learn from it, get better from it, be 1% better than your prior self every single day.
Exactly. And don't let anyone try to take away your success. So if you go on social media after you have a great trading day and you see someone made 5,000 and you only made 200, don't have that drive you to go and make more.
That was a perfect comment. Comparison is the thief of joy. So if you're trying to compare to anybody else, it's only a distraction.
Yep. That's one of the worst things you can do to yourself is go on social media right after you have a great trading day.
Yep. ES putting in a new low there. So very good job, chat, for pointing that out. So this is going to be one of those conditions unless, and Q also makes a new low, in which Mr. ZINC had mentioned if the two assets are not correlated, that was one of the things that invalidates the trade, right? Because ES set the high first and the low second for the current data. And Q set the low first and the high second. So that is two different things and they are not aligned.
I think even if you're not trading the IB and you see that these assets are not correlated, it's not something you should be trading regardless of what model you're using, IB or not.
Right. Two correlated assets should be moving the same at the same time.
Yep. And they should have the same. All week they've been pretty rough. I think it's because we're currently transitioning from tech to like oil and commodities because it's a war issue. But if these assets are not correlated with each other, it's not something that you should be trading, I think, anyway.
So I do know you have the My Fund of Futures live stream as well. So I don't know if you want a little break in between.
I go for another couple of minutes and then I'll dip out at 10:15, 10:20.
Awesome. I just want to take a moment to say thank you once again. The amount of value that you're sharing is incredible. I could literally see it within the model itself because like I said, I've gotten a couple of payouts from it and within the community as well. The amount of people that keep showing up just to say IB is goated, it's more than there was before. So clearly it's made an impact and people have obtained the skill too. And that's, for me, that is what real credibility is. That's what validity of a strategy is when it's transferable to other people. It's not you being discretionary. other people are doing the same thing as you and also getting those results.
Yep.
So thank you, thank you, thank you, chat. Last time,
Thank you for having me on again.
absolutely. We gotta get this camera thing figured out. That way, we get some shorts going on this as well, because everybody needs to go follow Mr. ZINC. Last time I'll say it, but go to the description of this video. You can see Mr. ZINC's link tree there. Go follow his pages. Go grab some of his PDFs. It's just the work proves the value, and the data shows it. The strategy is, it's there. It's there. So thank you, thank you, thank you.
I actually anticipate we're probably going to get a continuation down on Qs. Usually Qs gets dragged by SPY. But again, this is if the IB end up losing again, then this was probably just a really bad week for it.
Yeah. Yeah, so unless NQ goes and makes a new low, then
this will be a no trade today.
Exactly. So you heard it from the man himself. We have to wait and see. We'll give it another 15 minutes. If NQ does not go below this 9:35 a.m. low, that means NQ is doing something different than ES. That means there would be no trade. I am still going to wait, because if NQ does run below the low, then they are both showing a short setup, and then I'll consider that. But great example of needing to wait and be patient.
And we do have another 15 minutes for this to go and take a low. And
right.
It's not. So, it's only. I think you said the range was 97 points. It's a pretty small range for it to be able to go and take a new low.
Right. So there's still a chance. We'll keep waiting, but this is a perfect example of patience.
It's honestly not too far off at taking a low right now in Q, so it might be fine. We do have another stat that I've been using quite a bit. I think I mentioned it a little bit earlier. The weekly opening range refers to the high and low that you form on Monday and Tuesday. Over the past 49 weeks, we've only had 1 week that has not broken out of that range. So we're still within that range right now. We could go all the way down to that low, which we got very close to Monday's low overnight. I think it's 591 on Qs. I don't know what the measure on M and Q is, but it's a very good chance that we go and take that low today. So if we go and make a new IB low coming up here, target would be down to, for a continuation into the afternoon today anyway, target would be down to Monday's low.
Very good information. 49 weeks, you said?
Yep. Or the past 49 weeks. And funny enough, for SPY, that week was last week that we did not break the low.
Well, that surely makes sense, because this thing has been stuck in this range for way too long. I'm tired of it. Like, let's just get to moving.
Thanks. But I think we're probably, if it flushes through here at 600 on Qs, which is looking like it is, we will probably go down to 598.93, so another $1 just about.
And so that is just such good information on the people that tried front running, because what did look like a long setup to start the market is now slowly becoming a short setup.
Yep. And that is why I have the 1023 rule in. So in the next 6 minutes, you could take the trade technically. I think this is probably going to gravitate right towards that low coming up here in a minute. And then once that low is taken, that switches your bias completely for the IB. So you're no longer looking for an IB high to get taken. You're looking for an IB low. And that will line up with what SPY is doing.
Amazing information.
So hopefully we get another repeat of last stream after I leave you and take the trade and end up making who knows how much.
I will be sure to hop over there in my funded futures with the W. If it happens, we still gotta wait. I'm not gonna take the trade if they're saying two different things, but let's see if maybe another 12 minutes it could go take out that low.
I think we're well on that way right now. There's quite a significant pullback in the first place for Q. Yeah. So it's looking like it wants to go and line up. It wants it.
ES is definitely leading the way. It's having no problem heading lower, so I wouldn't be surprised if NQ does follow it.
610 is our current low in NQ, I believe. So not too far off there. Gold and goat.
If it takes the low, it is bearish. That is
I
correct.
did just see this
Reinhardt.
question as well.
Go ahead.
Don't play what you're anticipating. Play what you know should happen. So even though I'm anticipating that Qs is going to go and take a new IB low, I'm not going to go and play shorts to that IB low or the anticipation of that, because that's not what the data is telling us. That's not the trade model that we have. That's not how we trade this. We're not trading in anticipation. We're trading what we know should happen.
That is just pure gold. Pure gold. That is the difference between being subjective and objective. Instead of trying to influence price with your opinion, just wait and be patient and read it like a book.
Yep.
Very, very good information.
And even if we don't end up going and taking a low right now, we're actually getting a pretty nice pop. If we don't take a low, there's just no trade for us to take today. We're not going to try and brute force our way through profit.
Amazing. Chat, throw a bunch of W's in chat for Mr. ZINC before he heads out of here, because what a stream. We're going to have to get what do you guys think? Maybe even we just get into a studio and we do a podcast with him or something. Because we need more of this. We need more of these stats. I mean, this is, the model speaks for itself. So we need more of this information.
That it does. All right, thank you for having me. I'm going to go and get a little bite to eat before that stream, for the My Funded segment. And then hopefully this IB actually gives us an entry model today and doesn't just keep free falling like this. Again, guys, if there's no correlation between SPY and Qs, no trade for today, which is okay. You can go a day without trading. No one ever got rich in a day. Unless you win the lottery.
Well, I hope you have a great Friday. Hopefully the My Funded Future stream goes great. And then let's set another one of these up, because the community loves it. Absolutely. All right, man. Thank you for your time. I hope you have a great stream. Yep. Thank you. See you later. Talk soon. Bye. Pure gold. Pure gold, chat. Pure gold. Wow. I mean, I can't say it enough. It's just, the statements that are being made are just so valuable. It's not, these aren't discretionary opinions. It's not emotionally based impulses. Everything is based around a statistic, a probability, and then the reactions. Saying these things and then reacting differently, right? Like, he had mentioned that if the two assets are not correlated, don't take a trade, right? And you can see those actions so far because he's not sitting here hopping into shorts, right? He's waiting for the IB to get set so that he could see the model instead of trying to influence the market to do what he wants it to do. So it's so simple, and that's the best part about it. Simplicity brings clarity, and that's what we all need, because then it's going to keep us away from those emotions. That's the hard part there, is that everybody wants to be smarter than the market. Everybody wants to know exactly what's going to happen. Everybody wants to think that they know what's going to happen next. So then they go place a bet on it, and then when they get it incorrect, they end up getting pissed off because they thought they knew. Well, if you could just be objective, if you could be process driven, if you can allow your results to be a byproduct of the model, that's where you can find conviction. And this simplicity is what will allow that. So amazing, amazing, amazing. Bunch of W's for Mr. ZINC. You know, I've traded the model myself, and it's gotten me payouts just since, what was that? Just since last month. We just did our first collab with Mr. ZINC, I think in February, and I've seen payouts from the IB myself within the past month. So quite literally can verify it myself. And, you know, it's just extremely valuable information. We have another 5 minutes here. And if NQ does not take out the low, then there will not be a trade. This is what he said, right? If two correlated assets are doing something different at the same time, then there is no trade. So that thing that is different is this right here. NQ made the low for the IB first. The high second. Okay, now compare that to ES. ES made the high first and the low second. That is two completely different things. The two assets are not aligned. And if that is the case, that is the example of him saying the model is not valid. There is no trade. So within the next 4 minutes, if NQ does not go below this line right here, then we are not taking a trade today. We will go into the weekend flat. Okay? No trade. We'll close up shop and we will go into the weekend understanding the model, right? Gaining more conviction by obtaining another experience. All right, so let's give it some time. We still have another 3 minutes. Now, on the opposite end of that comment is if they do go take out the low within the next 3 minutes, then there is a valid trade, and we would look for a short from 50% of the range. So that's the only information we need right now. Do we go below this low right here? Yes or no? If we do not, then there is no trade. If we do, then it is showing a short position. All right, so let's see. We got another 3 minutes. If there is no trade, then I'm going to close up shop and I'm going to stand on those words, right? There's no reason to sit here and continue to keep searching. The model is not confirmed. So then I'm just going to go start my weekend, right? I have no problem being flat for the day. And this is what's going to determine whether I am flat or not. So let's see what happens. Let's see what happens, chat. NQ trying to bounce here, so looks like it is going to end up being a flat day. Another 2 minutes. Let's see if they can take out the low. There is a low on ES at 930. So how did it create the high first? Because you're measuring the entire range. You're measuring the high and the low between 930 to 1030. Right? This is the low here. Right? The lowest low, the highest high. Maybe that's what will help you understand. The lowest low of the 930 to 1030 range. The highest high of the 930 to 1030 range. Since the highest high happened first and the lowest low happened second, this would be a short position from 50% of the range. Now compare that to NQ's range. NQ, the range between 930 to 1030, the lowest low happened first. The highest high happened second. That is different information than what ES is saying, so there would be no trade. So maybe those words make it a little more clear. The lowest low of the range, the highest high of the range. All right, chat. Last 40 seconds here. Last 40 seconds here. Looks like it's going to be a no trade day, chat. No, there is no trade. It doesn't matter that IB on ES is set. Once again, you have to understand the correlation between NQ and ES, right? If NQ and ES are doing two different things at the same time, there is no trade. Okay, so ES, look at ES's IB. Now the IB is closed. It is 10:30. ES set the high first, the low second. NQ set the low first in the high second. Since that is different information, there is no trade. All right, so I'm not even going to stick around. That's the answer, right? The when to know, when not to trade. Here's your example of it. You just watched it happen real time. Okay, so now my words are going to align with my actions. I'm done. I'm done for the day. Look, I'm literally in my live account, and you can see that no trades were taken this morning. So I'm going to be flat for today. All right. Do me a favor. If you find any value in this live stream, if you found any value in the conversation that we had with Mr. ZINC, like the video, sub to the channel, turn the notifications on. We are going to be going live throughout the entire year. All right. Doing giveaways, taking trades on stream, getting collaborations going back and forth with the community. We're going to be doing it all. So if that is of value for you, hit the like button, hit the sub button. We have the Discords there too, so I will be moving over to the Discord into the general chat. If you guys want to continue the conversation there, I will be in the general chat, but I'm done. I'm done for the week. There was no trade. This is an example of a no trade day for the IB on NQ and ES. So I'm about to go outside. I'm about to go get some fresh air, some nice weather, get some cardio done, start the weekend very happy, right? There's no reason to go tilt right now and go blow your account and then go into the weekend pissed off and angry. Be okay with being patient. Be okay with waiting. Understand the justifications to your actions. Know what is a trade and is not a trade. And once you know those things, align your actions properly with that. If you go hop off this stream and go full tilt on your account, you're not going to be here for long. For real. If your actions cannot align with your words, you're not going to survive. Save the mental capital, right? Go do something good for the soul. Go spend some time with some family. Go touch some grass. Okay? There will always be another opportunity. Less is more. Quality over quantity. Patience is truly a virtue. All right? So, just want to take a moment to say thank you to everybody. Thank you for your time. Chat, every single person that keeps showing up, I am so appreciative of you. The amount of questions that we get to go over provides so much value because all of the people that are watching get to learn from it. So keep showing up, keep asking questions. Let's learn this trading business, okay? It's a pleasure working with other like-minded professionals. So I just want to say thank you and let's keep working. Let's keep showing up every single week, relentlessly trying to get 1% better than our prior selves every single week. All right? So You know where to find me. I'll be right back here next week. I'll be in the Discord. I'll be over there on Twitter. Feel free to continue the conversation over there. But thank you for your time. I hope everybody has a phenomenal weekend. I will see you on the next live stream. Have a nice weekend, everyone.